If you go to this website, click here onto more and go down to where it says Python Learning Roadmap and click onto that, you'll come to this page where down here you can see it says Python Learning Roadmap for Complete Beginners. This is a file that I generated with the use of Copilot and uploaded to this website, and I showed how this file was generated in the last video of this playlist. I will now click here where it says download file and we'll wait and the file should appear. I will now scroll down to step 4. I will zoom in a little and you can see that step 4 said master fundamental concepts, and these bullet points form part of step 4. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight this here, which says variables and data types, learn about strings, integers, floats, and booleans. And the document is advising us that this is the first thing we should learn about the language when we are studying Python. I'll right click onto my mouse and I'll copy this. Now I have the basis of a prompt, of a message that I can send to Copilot to ask it to help me understand variables and data types within the Python programming language. I've now moved over to Copilot, and here where it says Message Copilot, I'm going to paste what I've just copied from the PDF file that I generated in the last video. So I'll paste that in as plain text, and we have here the basis of a message that I'm going to send to Copilot, but I wish to edit it slightly. After some thought, I've edited the prompt to say the following: with respect to Python programming, explain about variables, data types, strings, integers, floats, and booleans. I will now click here and see what is produced by Copilot. As an aside, I've put this prompt in the description of the video on YouTube. It'll enable you to copy it and paste it into your Copilot and see what is produced on your computer. You can see that Python has produced this as a heading: Python Programming Basics, Variables and Data Types. We then have this heading which says what are variables, and below there's text giving a description of variables. And it says variables are like label boxes that store data in a program. You give the box a name and Python remembers what's inside. Now that's good enough to go forward with your studies of Python if you are a beginner. We can then see we have a snippet of code which here is saying that name is assigned Philip, and we can see the Philip is in quotes. Now that tells us that that is a string, and name is the name of a box in which we store the string Philip. This here, well, the name of the box is age, and it stores 30, which we will see is an integer. If we look here, it says name stores a string, and here it tells us age stores an integer. It goes on here to say variables are dynamic in Python, meaning you don't need to declare their type explicitly. Python figures it out for you. Now what this means is name is a box, and because you are giving it a string, then that box knows that it will be storing strings, and the string is the type that it is storing. Here the box has got the name age, and it is storing 30, which is an integer. Consequently, age is storing an integer type, and you didn't have to tell name or age what type it was. It worked it out from what it was being assigned. Now, in other programming languages, you have to say what the type is. But in Python, it's dynamic. It means that name is Philip, and Philip is a string. So name at this point in the program is storing a data type, which is a string. Now, I appreciate we don't know what a data type is quite yet, but we'll carry on looking at what Copilot is producing to see what it tells us about data types. I've scrolled down the document and you can see we've got this heading here, Python data types, and it goes on to say that Python has several built-in data types. Here are the core ones for beginners, and you can see it's presented the information in a table. If we look at the first row, we can see here that the data type is str, which is an abbreviation for string that you will see used in the Python programming language. And here it gives us a description. It tells us that a string is essentially text. And it goes on here to give us an example, which is simply hello. And you can see that that is in double quotes. We look at the other data type and we've got int, which is an abbreviation for integer, and it tells us here under the description that it is a whole number, and it gives us an example here, which is 42. The next entry is float, and the float, while it gives a description of it here, it tells us it's a floating point number, which in everyday language means it's a decimal. It's a number that has a fractional part, a decimal fraction part. And here we have an example of 3.14. Now that's an illustration of a value that can be taken up by a float. If I carry on to the next row, you can see here it says bool, which is an abbreviation for boolean, and it is another data type that's important to the Python programming language, and it gives us a description here, and you can see in brackets it's a true or false data type. Now what this means is that an example can be true and an example can be false. Now there can be no other example. A boolean can just take up the value of true or false. Now if I look at an integer, for example, that's 42. Well, that could be 1,064,000. There is another example. 1, 2, 15, 1,000,000. They're all examples of integers. But when you look at a boolean, you've just got two examples, true or false. There are no other values that you can put into a boolean variable. It's either true or false. A data type of boolean, one of two values, true or false. Scrolling down, we can see it talks about strings. Further down, it's talking about integers. We carry on and we can see it refers to floats. It then talks about booleans. And then further down, it says quick tip, type checking. Now, I will look at these aspects of Copilot's response in the next video, as I like to try and keep each individual video less than 10 minutes.